Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and my name is Precious, and in this video we'll quickly look at this problem. Is a question, a video request from one of my students on this channel asking us to solve this problem. Okay, so and this is just a quadratic equation with complex entries as the coefficients of x squared, x, and that and the constant. Okay, so here now you can see here that the coefficient of x squared, which is a, is equal to 3 minus 2i, and the coefficient of x, which is b, is equal to 1 plus I, and the constant, which is c, is equal to 2 minus I. Okay, so from here it says that our I is equal to the square root of minus 1, which is the imaginary unit. So the implication is that if I take the square of both sides, that means the square of the square root of this. Of course, square will cancel square roots. So I'm going to have that my I squared is actually equal to minus 1. Please take note of this because it will be very important. And so to be able to solve this, we are quickly going to use either of the completing square method or the formula method to be able to do this. So and we're going to just use the formula method, which says that our x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared. Right, so we are going to quickly substitute into this, and that's going to give us minus 1 plus I, which is our b, plus, okay, so we now have the square root of the same 1 plus I, all squared, then minus 4 times our a, which is 3 minus 2I, and then multiplied by c, which is 2 minus I. Okay, so and the whole of this will be over 2 times our a, which is 3 minus 2i. Okay, so what are we going to do next? So we'll try to simplify all the fractions that all the brackets that we have here, beginning with this other one, that is 1 plus I all squared. So that means multiplying it by itself, and so this one will multiply the two things here, and the I will do the same. So 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times I is I, and then I times 1 is I, and I times I is I squared. But remember I said that I squared is equal to minus 1. So this minus 1 will take away this minus 1. So from here we are going to have minus 1 plus I plus or minus, sorry, I omitted minus here, plus or minus the square root of, okay, if you expand the whole of this, we got 2I there. Okay, so we have 2I, and that is minus 4. So we're going to expand these two brackets now, and so we have 3 minus 2I multiplied by 2 minus I. And of course, if we say 3 times 2, that will give us 6. 3 times minus I is minus 3I. Minus 2I times 2 is minus 4I. And minus 2I times minus I will give us 2I squared. And I squared is minus 1. So minus 1 times 2 will now give us minus 2. And so this is going to give us 6 minus 2 is 4. Minus 3I minus 4I is minus 7I. So we are going to have 4 times 4 minus 7I. And this is all over. If we open this bracket, we will have 6 minus 4I. And so what do we do next? So we try to open this other bracket here. And when we do that, we are going to have minus 1 plus I, and that is plus or minus. So this will now give us 2I minus 16. That's minus 4 times 4, and then minus 4 times minus 7I is plus 28i, and that is all over 6 minus 4i. Okay, so from here now, this is going to quickly give us, let me do that. Okay, so here we'll have minus 1 plus I plus or minus the square root of, this is going to be 2i plus 28i is 30i, then minus 16 all over 6 minus 4i. Okay, so now we have this square root of this complex number, and square root of complex numbers is actually seen as the square root of surds. So we are going to rectify this, evaluate it first, and then bring the value here to be able to get our final answer. So let's try to evaluate our square root of 30i minus 16. And how do we do that? We will simply equate this, because the square root is going to give us a complex number, which can be in this form, a plus bi. So our duty now is to solve this particular equation, get the value of a and b, put it into this place, and that is the square root we are looking for. So what do we do first? We try to clear the square root on the left hand side by taking it to the right hand side, and that's going to give us 30i minus 16 is equal to a plus bi. Of course, the square root coming here becomes a square. All right, so we try to expand these two, and when we do, we'll have a plus bi multiplied by a plus bi. And of course, by the time you do that multiplication, you are going to have a times a, which is a squared, a times bi, which is abi, then bi times a is also abi, and bi times bi is b squared I squared. Remember, I squared is negative 1, so multiply b squared by I squared, you have negative b squared. And so that's going to give us a squared, then minus b squared, and that is abi plus abi is equal to 2abi. Okay, and on the left hand side, we will have 30i minus 16. So we're going to compare both sides now. The constant should be equal to the constant, and then the coefficient of I on the left hand side should be equal to the coefficient of I. So by the time we do that, we are going to generate two equations that we will solve. So what it means is that a squared minus b squared is equal to minus 16. We can call this equation 1. And then the implication also is that the coefficient the coefficient of I on the right hand side, which is 2ab, must be equal to the coefficient of I here, which is 30. And we can push this a little bit. We can divide both sides by 2, and that will give us that a is equal to 15. And so we can call this equation 2. So we'll solve these two equations now to be able to get our value for a and b. Okay, so from equation 2 now, we'll see that our a, or let me use b, is actually equal to 15 all over a. That's if we divide both sides by b here, making a the subject of the formula. And so now we're going to substitute that value we got now into equation 1. And so if, let me call this equation 3. If we put equation 3 into 1, recall what our 1 is. Our 1 says that a squared minus b squared is equal to minus 16. So I'm going to substitute b now. So I'm going to have that a squared minus 15 over a all squared, which is my b now, is equal to minus 16. So I'm going to try to open the bracket, which is going to give me 15 squared, which is 225, all over a squared, and that is equal to minus 16. So I'm going to try to clear this fraction here by multiplying through with that denominator. So if I multiply this by a squared, I will get a raised to the power of 4. If I multiply this by a squared, I will have 225. If I multiply here by a squared, I'll have minus 16a squared. So collect everything to the left hand side, and that is going to give me a raised to the power of 4 plus 16a squared, and then minus 225. That is equal to what? 0. Okay, so at this point now, I can change this to become a quadratic equation in such a way that I can say let my a squared become equal to x. If that happens, what it means is that, of course, this is going to be a, of course, my a raised to power 4 is the same thing as a squared all squared. So that means I am going to have x squared here, that's the whole of this, and then plus 16x, then minus 225, and that is equal to 0. So we can solve this quadratically now, and to do that we can use factorization method. So our c here is minus 225, a here is 1. So if we factorize, the two numbers will be 25 and minus 9. If you multiply this, you have minus 225. If you add it, you get 16. And remember what I said, open two brackets here. You are going to have this plus 25, and then open another one, x minus 9, and that's equal to 0. So what that means is that my x plus 25 is equal to 0, or x minus 9 is equal to 0. So the implication is that x is equal to minus 25, or x is equal to positive 9. Okay, so at this point, remember what we did here. Okay, so that's this one here. So, but of course, our x, our a is raised to the power of 2. And so since a is raised to the power of 2, the implication is that we are going to do something here now. So what it means is that, of course, you cannot take this to the power of 2 except you want to get what do you call it, a complex value. But because for now, let's avoid the complex value now. So what it means is that our x is equal to 9. So if we put that into this equation, we'll have that a squared is equal to 9, and our 9 is 3 raised to the power of 2. So if you cancel the equal powers, it means that our a is equal to 3. And so if our a is 3, what that means is that if we put it into this equation here, that's equation 3, you will see that our b then will be 15 all over 3. And 15 over 3 is equal to 5. Okay, and so if that be the case now, so we have the values of a and b, and if you put that into this equation now, you are now going to have that our square root of 30i minus 16 is now equal to a plus bi, and our a is 3, then plus our b is 5i. Okay, so this is now our a and b. So we have finally gotten the square root of this, which is what we are looking for. Even though it's supposed to be two values, if we had used this case, if we had used this case, it would have given us another value of this, but it's okay that we use this one. Maybe in your own convenience, you can try it with this. If you use this, the square root of this is going to now give you, that's the square, that's if you put a squared to be equal to this, so your a will now be the square root of minus 25, which will be equal to plus or minus. Okay, meanwhile, this is supposed to be plus or minus, look at it, let's come back here a little bit. This is supposed to, if you take the square root, not here, Okay, so if we take the square root, use the square root here, this is supposed to be plus or minus square root of 9, which is going to give us plus or minus 3. So our A is plus or minus 3, and our B is plus or minus 5. So of course, when our A is plus 3, if you divide it, it will be plus 5, B will be plus 5. When our A is minus 3, our B will be minus 5. Okay, so and that is also applicable here. So you have plus or minus 5, and here minus 3, and here you have plus or minus 5 also. So if we bring that now into that equation we left by the way, that's from here. So if we substitute this, which is now what we have gotten, so we are going to now have that our equation is now going to be minus 1 plus I, then plus or minus, here we now have, let me open a bracket, plus or minus 3 plus or minus 5I, and that is all over 6 minus 4I. So what you are going to be having here now is two solutions, which are minus I plus 1 plus I. Then let's choose plus here. If we choose plus here, then we'll have everything here, which is plus or minus 3 plus or minus 5I all over 6 minus 4I. Or the second equation will now be minus 1 plus I minus, that's under this plus or minus, we choose plus first and then we choose minus. Minus the same thing, plus or minus 3 plus or minus 5I. Okay, and that is all over 6 minus 4I. Okay, so we are going to try to simplify this. So in all, if we move a little bit now, okay, so that means here now that we are going to have, okay, so for that first part where we have that we have minus 1 plus I, what this means is that we're also going to get two values here. We'll have minus 1 plus I, and it's going to be plus. So here we are going to take the plus values first. So if we take the plus values, remember when A is plus 3, B is plus 5. So here we now have plus 3 plus 5I, and that is all over 6 minus 4I. Or then you can have minus 1 plus I. Then when, remember there is plus here, so when A is minus 3, then B is also minus 5I. And so here we have 6 minus 4I. So this is going to give us, now if we open this bracket, remember this is going to be minus 1 minus I. The same thing here, minus 1 minus I. So if we relate it, minus 1 plus 3 will be equal to 2. And then minus I plus 5I will be equal to 4I. And that will be all over 6 minus 4I. We can take conjugate here if we want. Or, in this case, minus I minus, that's plus minus 3, will be equal to minus 4. Here, minus 1 minus 3 will be minus 4. Then minus I plus minus 5I will be minus 6I. And that will be all over 6 minus 4I. So these are the two solutions possible from this. And then the second one where we have minus here, what we are going to have there is minus 1 plus I minus, and then we have plus or minus 3 plus or minus 5I. So, and that is all over 6 minus 4I. So what we are going to have here now is that we'll have open this bracket just as I did here. That will give us minus 1 minus I. Then we now have minus here. So in this case, I'm going to choose plus plus. So I'll have plus 3 plus 5. And that is all over. You are going to see that this is just going to be a repetition of these two. And then or, and I'm going to choose plus minus minus here. So I will have minus 1 minus I, then I'll now have minus 3 minus 5. So I choose plus plus here and then minus minus here. And this is all over 6 minus I. So this is going to then give us a very beautiful solution. Minus 1 minus 3 is going to be minus 4. Then minus I minus 5 is going to be minus 6. And that is all over 6 minus 4i, which is exactly what we have here. Or minus 1 minus 3 is going to be, that's minus 1 plus 3, which is actually equal to 2. Then minus I minus 5 is going to be minus I plus 5i, which is going to be 4i. And that is all over 6 minus 4i, which is also exactly what we have here. So you can see that it's just repetition. In other words, this is in essence our solution. So it is either that your x is equal to this or it is equal to this. So these are the two possible solutions to the quadratic equation that we are given here. All right, it was nice going through this together, and this is where we end it for this video. And please, if you are coming to our YouTube channel for the first time, please kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please do share our videos. We will see you in our next video. Bye.